Hello everyone, I'm Asher Westerbev, and today is January 2nd of 2025. And before we start, I would just like to remind you that 100 Israelis, including 2 young children, women and elderly, are still in captivity now for 454 days. This is the daily briefing of the Israeli Citizens Spokesperson's Office. This week, the New York Times reported the complex rules that Israel follows to minimize harm to civilians in war. The Times claimed Israel loosened its war rules, and the Times criticized how Israel evaluated harm to civilians before striking terrorists. The Times criticized how Israel warned civilians before striking terrorists. But that means that fighting in an all-out war, Israel still evaluated harm to civilians. Israel still warned civilians. And the Times actually proved just how hard Israel tries to limit harm to civilians while striking the murderers that hide behind them. One thing in particular the Times reporting stood out to me. The Times reported that Israel made changes to its rules at 1 p.m. on October 7th, 2023. Now, what was going on 1 p.m. on October 7th, 2023? Well, Hamas death squads were still in the middle of their rape and murder rampage across Israel. Hostages were still being taken captive and hadn't yet arrived in the Hamas terror dungeons. And on October 7th, 2023, Israel faced an existential threat. Hamas murdered over 1,200 people that day. If not stopped by Israeli soldiers and citizens, Hamas would have murdered many, many more. But even so, Israeli soldiers don't just meet international standards, they continue to exceed them. Even military experts like Major Andrew Fox and Colonel John Spencer have shared that Israel set the gold standard for combat against an enemy intentionally embedded in and under dense urban areas, as Hamas does in Gaza. So I challenge you to find out what the civilian to combatant ratios were in other major urban wars of the 21st century, and to find a war in which they exceed the standards that have been set by Israel. Remember, Israel is trying to minimize the death toll to take out Hamas, while Hamas's goal is to maximize that same death toll in order to serve their own goals. Do you know who else is telling on themselves? Ireland. Ireland asked to legally redefine genocide so that they can accuse Israel of perpetrating it. But that means Ireland knows Israel is not now guilty of that most heinous of crime. Genocide is defined as needing intent to destroy a group. And that means someone has to mean to do genocide in order to do it on purpose. Ireland's request to the International Court of Justice, well, they asked, the perpetrator does not need to have as his purpose the commission of genocide. Yes, they actually wrote that. Genocide was coined by a Jewish scholar to describe the Nazi Holocaust of the Jewish people, and the Nazis had a plan to try to destroy the Jewish people, and they carried out that plan. Ireland knows Israel has no plan to destroy anyone, so Ireland wants to change the law so that they can accuse Israel anyway. Of course, there is no evidence of Israel destroying any group other than Hamas, with or without intent. And even Hamas's fake numbers claim 45,000 Gazans have been killed in a war out of a total 2.1 million Gazans currently living in the Strip. Now, even Hamas acknowledges that some, as yet undefined by them, portion of the dead are in fact Hamas combatants. But Ireland really wants to accuse the Jewish state. And accusing Israel of genocide gives Hamas leeway to again try to enact their explicitly genocidal attacks on Israel again and again. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching. That is all we have time for today. And thank you so much for tuning in. A Shabbat Shalom to all. We will be back next week at 3 p.m. Israel time and 8 a.m. on the US East Coast. I'm Asher Westerbev. Thanks for watching.